Super Earth, our home. Prosperity. Liberty.
Hi there.
Democracy. Our way of life.
Oh, hello.
But freedom doesn't come free.
No! Sweet liberty! No!
Okay. All right, I'm back into doing reviews. What brought me back? Was it maybe overwhelming demand from the voices in my head? Was it that maybe there's a huge demand for another opinion on the internet? Who knows? And honestly, who cares? So let's dive into it. Hey, dive into it. Get it? Like Helldivers. Dang. Look at me. I'm a poet and I didn't even realize it. Onward. Helldivers 2 was released in 2024 and as of recording, currently on PlayStation and Windows. So what exactly is Helldivers? Well, it's simple. You and up to 4 other players team up and represent Super Earth. And you go off to different planets doing different missions and you guys fight aliens. That's pretty much it. The premise, honestly, it couldn't be simpler. Some missions have you on a small patch of land and just killing a bunch of aliens. Other missions have you analyzing special materials while killing a bunch of aliens. Some have you launch an ICBM, which I think stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, while killing a bunch of aliens. And, then you have to launch that missile and that missile probably kills more aliens. Probably. It's a third-person action shooter at its core, and it is a game that you simply have to be online for because everything you do actually kind of matters in the overall war against Super Earth's enemies. Every time you finish a mission, it counts towards a progression meter that literally everyone else is also contributing towards. All in all, I'm going to give the game a solid 8 out of 10. So let's get into the reasons why I'm giving it that score. I really enjoy Call of Duty. I'm just one of those few that actually buy those, stupid big legendary vault editions. But the first thing I really do when I get those is I go into the story. Yeah, I am. I'm one of those people that I like the campaign missions. Sue me. I don't know, just something about them just draws me to them. I don't know. But when everything is said and done, you of course have to join the multiplayer, right? And in terms of multiplayer games, that's basically what I generally play if I'm not playing anything online. If I'm not playing like a crazy cool single player experience, I'm probably just killing time or shooting the shit with friends and family while playing Call of Duty. It's a really nice way for me to really reconnect with people that I don't really have the time to really go see, or vice versa. But something that's apparent is that the co-op experience in Call of Duty is really just non-existent, which is weird because it's generally like 10 of you versus 10 of other people. Surely you feel like you'd want to work together. But more often than not, it's mostly just like, more often than not, it's just like 10 people running around independently of each other, just working towards increasing their own level and, improving their guns or whatever, or doing their own challenges, right? And that's not necessarily anyone's fault because Call of Duty is just built like that. And, I'm not going to be on Call of Duty trying to talk to strangers, trying to plan things like I'm some super marine or something. I'm not going to be like, hey, hard left, check your corners, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be doing that either. And the most recent Call of Duty right now is Modern Warfare 2. And I play that new Zombies open world mode. And it's basically the same thing. Everyone kind of works together, but no one's actually really cooperating. I mean, unless you're in a specific party. But like I said, if you're not in a specific party with your friends or family or whatever. It's usually just people kind of doing their own thing, but really working together. Which brings me on to Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 really flips the switch on that, with everyone really working together towards a common objective, with everything you do actually working towards an overall goal, right? Like you guys are all doing the same objectives and it's all going towards the same exact goal. You don't it's not just you, like you don't liberate these planets. The community does. You can't win this war on your own. You can play all you want, but there's no way in hell. Helldivers, get it? There's no way in hell you're going to achieve anything on your own. It's literally a team effort. That said, the game also does have friendly fire, and that means whatever you do that annihilates the enemy can also annihilate your teammates. And also, while it has its moments of hilarity, it unfortunately also means that there are jerk-offs in the games that will just do anything to kill you. Or they'll do something just to kill you just for the lulz, right? Because they're trolls. So, unfortunately, the game is not troll-proof. But, I really see these assholes once in a while. And, side tangent, but to these assholes that really like that, like they do that, like don't take out your anger on me, okay? Just because your mom didn't cut off the crusts on your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, just because you're mad at her for that, don't take it out on me, okay? But yeah, it's like one thing for me to run in voice crack. It's one thing for me to run into like a 500 kilogram mini nuke, right? And it's one thing for me to run into that when someone throws the whatchamacallit, the beam thing, the support, because I saw the laser indicator a little too late. I just get blown up, and I laugh at that. It's funny, but it's another thing when like nothing is happening, the shuttle is there, and then a teammate just kills you just for fun. But that's not a fault on the game. Every basket of eggs has a fucked up one at least, right? Every basket of apples has a rotten apple. I don't know what the saying is. But yeah, my whole point is just that I really love how I just love how cooperative the game is and how much people actually stick to that for the most part. Boy, I'm really rusty. It's okay. I'll get back into it. I'm not editing this. Okay, so like, this is Raw, man. This is WWE Monday Night Raw. Raw dog in this review. All right, anyways. Something I also just admire about the game is the attention to detail. When you look at your map in game, your character actually does like that little Buzz Lightyear thing where he like looks at his forearm. When you upgrade parts of your ship, you can actually see that part of the ship get slightly better. The blood shine on your suit, the green slime from like the aliens you blasted. When you get on a planet and there's like extreme heat, it makes your stamina run out a little faster, or even the specific suit that you decide to go out in, it has a little benefit, and you can really use that to your advantage. Like, oh, this suit gives me extra grenades. This suit gives me, extra stims or whatever. I also just like to shout out that like all your actions do actually make an impact on the overall progress of a planet, even if it's like 0.001%. But it is really nice that every time you finish a mission, you see that huge progress bar, and even the smallest thing that you did, whether it be like this like 4 or 5 mission campaign, or it's just doing a simple mission like raising a flag, that percentage point gets added into that massive meter, and that's such a good feeling. And I'm not sure if this is true, but I do think I remember reading somewhere about this. So I I hope you're not here for actual like an intelligent review because that's the wrong place, man. Anyways, when you play some big action battle war kind of game, you know, like you play. I know I'm going to bring up Call of Duty a lot, and that's not my intention to compare both of them, even though it's exactly what I'm doing. It's just that's like the one multiplayer game I've been playing. I don't think I played another multiplayer game so consistently like that one. But you know, when you play a big action game like that and you look around you on the level that you're on, you see stuff going on in the background, right? And it's cool, you know, it adds ambiance to the level you're in, but it's a different kind of feeling when you're playing in Helldivers 2 and you're seeing all these explosions in the distance, you're seeing these lasers, you're seeing all these they're ships, but I think they're called cruisers. These are actually other people playing, and it's just such a cool feeling to be like, holy shit, like that laser that is out there in the distance, that's like somebody actually called that in. That's a real person that called that in. The booms and hits, all satisfying. There's not much else to say besides that. Just great sound design. I love it.
I'm on it. Bug outpost spotted. Prepare to exterminate. Package acquired. Dropping package.
Now, obviously, the game is a lot of fun, and it's even more fun with friends and all these randoms all working together towards a common goal, right? I think I'm gonna burp. Excuse me. The issue is that that fun has to end sometime. Is that a glaring negative? No, not necessarily. But having to connect online means that at some point this is going to end. And while we can usually expect when a game's time online is coming to an end, this one depends entirely on the community, really. You see, like with Call of Duty, again, bringing it up, because it's really the only thing I have much experience with in terms of multiplayer. The multiplayer is like at full speed ahead until the new one is announced. And then most people jump onto that train. And while the last one doesn't exactly die, you can basically see, you can considerably see that like the progress, or sorry, that Call of Duty experience is pretty much done. For example, you know, Modern Warfare 1, I'm just going to use a very general example, right? Like everyone got into Modern Warfare 1, everyone was having a blast. Once 2 got announced, everything you do in Modern Warfare 1 kind of just doesn't really count anymore, you know? It's kind of, you have to jump ship now. And with Grand Theft Auto Online, which is another game that I have a lot of experience with, is, you know, people kept coming back to that game because Rockstar continued to support it. And while its community isn't as large as before, you can really still, I mean, it is actually still super big, but you can still play online on your own or with friends, and you can still have a really good time. Helldivers 2 is like really in between both of those. It mostly depends on the community. As I said before, it's not all on you. You can't win this war alone. You know, for example, there was a recent update that increased the number of spawns the less people you have in your group. So I guess the developer is like, hey man, this is what like. The game is intended for you to have 4 people in your group. So, if you have 4 people in your group, which is the maximum, cool, normal, no changes really. If it's 3 people, it's going to be a little bit more spawns. If it's just 2 of you, even more spawns. And then if it's just you, okay, well, best of luck to you, right? But it's not like Call of Duty where you can expect a future installment so soon, and you can't expect that gravy train to keep running. That you can't expect, the community to keep going, because at some point, like, I think there's a lot of us out there in the casual gaming department that are like, you know what, like, my time with this game is done. I'm ready to move on to whatever's next. And it's also not like Grand Theft Auto Online, where you can play on your own or with friends, unless you have like 4 friends, right? Like, obviously that's just different, but you can't really just, even if you have 4 friends, or if it's just you, like I said, it's community based. You're not gonna win this war. You can't do the community objectives if it's just less and less people playing online, right? And Helldivers 2's main objective is to take over planets, and you defend them with the community. So the longevity of this game all really just depends on the people currently playing. And in the gaming ecosystem right now, who knows how long we truly have with this game? What happens when the next big thing comes along and then suddenly it's hard to find a match or fill a group, or none of the community objectives are being fulfilled because there's just not enough people. Or even just, what if the developers are, they kind of like other games where they kind of just, all right, you know what, it's time for us to move on to the next thing. We're going to leave a couple people behind to kind of keep this game up, but we're going to move on. And what if that just doesn't work out, right? All this is just a really long way of saying that Helldivers 2 won't be around forever because of the way the game is designed. And so you either really enjoy it now when it's hot, or you run the risk of not playing it as intended because you jumped in a little too late. Something else I also just really admire is that the developers really got their head in the game. I'm not saying that they haven't made any missteps or they won't make any future mistakes, but they just really seem to give a shit, which is really nice. It's very refreshing. They really have their eye on the ball. They're listening to feedback. I've noticed that on social media, they actually respond to people. It's actually how I learned about that patch thing about like, oh, we're going to spawn more enemies. I read it on a Reddit post that one of the developers like responded on or something like that. Or someone linked an article to it. But it's just so cool that they're actively adding things and removing things and just making the game feel alive. It makes it feel like, oh shit, like, just things change all the time. I assume I've never been to war, right? I'm not a soldier. But things are always changing, right? And it's kind of nice to kind of give that feeling in this game where things are changing. You defend this planet and you feel great. Yeah, we kicked ass. All these people, like, it wasn't just me, all these hundreds of thousands of players that went out there and kicked butt. And you're celebrating like, yeah, we actually there was multiple times where me and Hyro, we spent like a good, couple hours on defending this planet, and, all right, it's time for bed and go to work, blah, blah, blah. And then next time we get on, that planet is it's like, all right, cool, it's ours now. And that's such a cool feeling. Like, all right, cool, we all did this. And then they do a little update. We're like, oh, well, guess what? They just pushed back even more and then some. And also here's this new wave of enemies. And then, okay, all right, well, got to get back out there and kick some more ass. And I just think that whole thing just deserves some kudos. I loved Red Dead Redemption. I love that game to death. And I had a lot of fun memories, actually, when I was just meeting Hyro 10 years ago, who is my best friend. Getting home from school, and we would get on Red Dead Online. So, when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, when we were a little bit older, now that we were adults, playing the online, we were like, what? This is boring. This is like, it's bare. And that's not to say that the first Red Dead Redemption Online was like bustling, right? But compared to what we experienced with Grand Theft Auto Online, and then okay, well, Red Dead Online's a little bit newer, so we're bound to have some fun with that. No, Rockstar just kind of more or less seemed to abandon that, and I just think that whenever developers and people like that in game development have a game like this and they're actively giving a shit about it, I think that's just awesome. I mentioned before that the attention to details is great, and who doesn't love some procedural generated stuff to really make the game feel a little fresh every time? I mean, who doesn't love that? That's fucking badass. I like that in Binding of Isaac. But I do have a problem with the fire tornadoes in this game. It's just some of the most annoying things I've come across in this game, because they just kind of pop out where you're trying to be, and then they'll leave like a deadly trail of fire that you can't get around. And if you happen to get caught in it, it's just like, all right, well, I can't wait around and get my stuff back when I respawn. I kind of just have to start fresh. And it's just so annoying. It's just all the other cool weather events, they kind of mess with you a bit and change up the gameplay a little bit. Like an ion storm will means you can't call in anything for a little bit, so you kind of just it's just you and whatever you got on you. That's cool, but like the firestorms really just grinded my gears in this game. Well, the gameplay is fun, and with every difficulty increase, we get new enemies, we get some new missions. That said, I feel like, and then again, I am speaking as a casual gamer. There comes times where you do just kind of get stuck on a difficulty. Sometimes maybe it's because of skill, maybe it's just because you choose to, and that's kind of when the game does start to feel a little bit repetitive. You destroy aliens, destroy their spawn points, activate this thing, deactivate this thing. So yeah, there just does come a point where the gameplay becomes a little repetitive. And it's kind of like, Grand Theft Auto Online, where there's a million things to do, but sometimes you just kind of get stuck in this rut of like, transport this thing from point A to point B. That's just kind of what it feels like sometimes in this game. This review is just meant to be an overall look of things. It's meant to be like kind of a one-on-one discussion. One-on-one being me with me. But don't take this as like my overall like opinion. Like, don't take this as like, wow, this fucking game it's just like, it's so good, but God, it's so repetitive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to incorporate everything I've seen about this game and putting it into this. And the game just sometimes does have its ruts. I just wish there was a little bit more. I know that it's probably an incentive to kind of get people to play harder and harder and harder difficulties. And that's why they add enemies towards the end and they add missions towards the end. But I don't know. I feel like some people just kind of get in their comfort zone, and then it's just like, well, I'm getting kind of bored, right? But who knows? Maybe that's just me, right? The game is funny. If you've seen Starship Troopers, it's basically what this is, and that's kind of funny because I think there actually is a Starship Troopers game. I'm not sure though, but that goes to show a lot that this is basically Starship Troopers the game, and yet there is an actual game. But I think it's just a really great look at imperialism, fascism, nationalism, which I guess an extreme level of nationalism is fascism, maybe. I don't know. We're not liberating like this propaganda is saying, we're just there to kind of take things over. There's missions where we're just literally stealing oil and, looking for valuable minerals and taking them back. And if you're like messing around in the store, like to buy like an outfit or something, sometimes you get like this 1-star review and then it'll say something like redacted and being investigated for treason. It's so over the top that it's just, you have to laugh at it. And it's, I won't lie, you see some of the shit, you see some of the shit, and it's kind of hard not to reflect on your own personal life, regardless of politics and all that. You just kind of see like our history of, our history and our relationship with these ideals of, American imperialism and, a lot of people moving far right into fascism and all this stuff. I'm not a historian. I'm not super knowledgeable about politics, but I think it's just great satire. Like, my life for Super Earth, for democracy. You see all these things, and then you see these videos, and you hear your Helldiver yelling that kind of stuff, and then you'll see a note like you'll see just a note in the world that just says something like, please submit your paperwork to get married, or please submit your paperwork for children, or all this talk about freedom and democracy. But if you put a 1-star review, it gets deleted and then investigated for treason, right? I think some of the communication relays that you turn off, that you deactivate, are basically just people saying the opposite of whatever the Helldiver propaganda TV thing is telling you. So clearly for, freedom, democracy, but you're not allowed to say anything against us. But, I love a good satire, as long as it's just that satire, right? I hope we're not moving towards something like that. All in all, this game is actually pretty fun. And for a guy who prefers just single player games and just, don't get me wrong, I love multiplayer games. It's just, when you have a job, working full time, dealing with people, I'm just one of those people that I don't want to talk to more people or strangers or make an effort. I just want to sit down and I just want to melt into my chair, play some video games, and not really think about let's talk strategy or, it's just a lot. I'm already drained from work, and for a person like that, like me, to really just get into this game and really just get active with the community, I think it says a lot about this game. The game is just really easy to get into, and the premise is simple. The objectives are clear. The mechanics are just super easy and simple to learn. That it's just easy, and I like that. I like how easy it is. The game has its issues, but you know what? It functions well, right? There's no perfect game out there, and despite its little bugs and glitches, there was one time where I should have been really annoyed that I finally did a hard mission. I think it was hard or extreme. We finished this campaign, and then on the exit screen of where it tells you how much XP you get, it kind of just froze, and then it didn't count for anything. So I still had to do it all over again to unlock the next difficulty. And while there's little things like that, or sometimes there was a moment where I was playing with Hyro, and we are supposed to destroy these aircraft carriers or something, and we dropped in this thing called a hell bomb, which you call in, you put in your little activation code, and it basically just blows everything up for you. So you don't have to throw grenades or use your own support weapons. And when we threw it in, it got stuck into one of the buildings or one of the carriers, and then when we were able to activate it, our characters got stuck. So there's all these little bugs and stuff, and there's literally bugs in the game. Zing. Where enemies just kind of come out of nowhere, and there's all these little things like that. And you know what? For that thing that didn't let me progress into getting a harder difficulty, or just getting stuck in the game and maybe being killed because one of those little glitches, I found it really easy to just look past all that. Because at its core, it's still a really fun game. It's still really fun to shoot the shit with people. And it's just really fun to see a bunch of people just really just get together and work towards a common goal. And actually just work together. Not just hey, hey, we're all just going to do the objective, or I'm just here to upgrade my gun and get a cool skin. It's really cool to just see the whole community working together towards something. And that just, it melts my heart, really, because all the bullshit that's going on today, kind of need a little bit of this. So yeah, all in all, as of this time in May 2024, and I have to say that because, like I said, this is an online game. This is mostly based on the community. So who knows if next month, you know, they change some stuff up and it just becomes a terrible game, or you watch this video like 6 years from now and you're like, what the fuck is that? That's been disconnected from the servers like, you know, a year ago or whatever, right? Yeah, at this time in May 2024, I am giving Helldivers 2 an 8.
Victory was never in doubt.
Out of 10.
Last one on the Pelicans, good.
Falcon 1, landing in progress.
Last one on the plane is gay. Last one on the plane is gay.
Down initiated. Stand by for takeoff.
Jump into that bitch. Damn, I'm stuck.
Extraction complete. Falcon 1 beginning ascent.
And that was the last one. What the fuck?